Welcome once again to Live from my office. Fridays, I try to lighten things up a little bit from the news load of the week. And today, my friend Paul Coyte is back. Paul Coyte, the ambassador to all of Europe, not just the UK. Live from London, the bureau chief in London. We'll talk to Paul Coyte coming up about the fact that, and I admit maybe I was wrong, but for a long time I asked Paul to talk to the Queen and to Buckingham Palace in general, and try to get Britain to invade the U.S. like they did so many years ago. I've got to tell them to stop that. So that'll be amongst the conversation. Obviously, politics is in there, how they're doing with COVID, and what they're doing to kill time. Well, we all hope to, at some point in our lives, get back to normal. Paul Coyte, the guest, coming up. Brought to you by David Hochberg and Team Hochberg. All they want to do is just save you a little money. 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com. You can check the show notes out wherever you are listening. Subscribe, rate, and review, and let us know what you think to Live from my office. When you look at the show notes, you'll get things like the email address. Drop me an email anytime, thecochranshow@gmail.com about anything on your mind. In addition to that, follow me on social media at Cochran Show or Steve Cochran Show on Instagram. That's in there as well in case you can't remember something so complicated. Before we get to Paul Coyte, in the vein of keeping things a little light, of course, this is an off weekend prior to the Super Bowl. We're recording this on Friday, the 29th of January. But this is a big week for another reason in sports, and that is the greatest of all time in hockey. Wayne Gretzky turned 60 this week. Now, my own 60th birthday is coming up in just a few weeks. I don't have 61 records as Wayne Gretzky does in his chosen career path. He retired with 61 NHL records after the 98-99 season. But let me just run through the 10 records that he has that are most likely not to be broken. This courtesy of the HockeyWriters.com. 10 times he was the highest scorer in the NHL, most points in a season. Most goals in a season? This is incredible. 92 goals in the 81-82 season over 80 games. That's right, more than one goal a game. Most assists in a season, 163. It's more than 2 assists per game. Most goals in a career, 1,072. Assists, almost 2,000, finished with 1,963. The MVP trophy, that's the Hart Trophy. Yeah, he won that 9 times, all 9 in the first 10 years of his career. Most career points, almost 3,000. He finished with 2,857. He had 3 consecutive 200-point seasons. It's just mind-boggling. He had a 51-game point scoring streak. That's right, he either had a goal or an assist in 51 consecutive games in 83-84. And he had 50 goals in 39 games. 39 games. I mean, that's just unbelievable. Over the last 3 seasons, only 6 players have scored 50 in an entire season. It's unbelievable. And, you know, honestly, I've only interviewed him a few times, but he's a good guy. You know, the greatest in the history of their sport, the most dominant athletes. This is a regular sports radio argument. But it's not a bad one to have. Obviously, Michael Jordan in basketball, it's hard to argue with that. You could certainly make a case for Tiger Woods during his prime in golf, Nicklaus as well back in the day. Football and baseball are harder, but with the recent passing of Hank Aaron, I would make the argument that he could do it all in baseball. And while he may not have been the most dominant because so many great players played in that era, he is the all-time home run hitter in my world, and nobody will ever tell me he wasn't. He had speed, he had power, he could field, he could run, he was a 5-tool player, and he did it all without steroids. So rest in peace, Hank Aaron. Happy birthday, Wayne Gretzky. And thank you for listening to Live from my office. We'll come back with my friend Paul Coyte in just a moment. Meanwhile, go Blackhawks. you're purchasing a new home or refinancing the one you're in, then you need to do what we do. We call Team Hochberg your trusted local lender. David Hochberg would like to thank you for allowing Team Hochberg to help you, your friends, your family, your coworkers with a mortgage in the past year. Team Hochberg funded over $355 million in refinance transactions, which help listeners secure lower rates, shorten the term of their loans, pay off debt, and save listeners over $275,000 a month. Team Hochberg also helped listeners purchase over $88 million worth of new homes, second homes, investment properties. When the pandemic hit, Team Hochberg helped listeners understand the importance of and expanded and explained how to take advantage of forbearance to save their homes. See, there's so many things when it comes to money in your house, your biggest investment in life, that can just make all of us glaze over. Team Hochberg knows it, does it, understands it. They even do the math for you. Team Hochberg helped me, my family, and thousands of my podcast listeners and radio listeners through the years, and they greatly appreciate the opportunity to help you secure a mortgage. But they can't do it if you don't call 855-56-DAVID. It's easy. 855-56-DAVID. Pick up the phone. Make the call. It's not going to cost you anything. Or go to the website 56david.com and start there. Tune into Home Sweet Home Chicago, hosted by David Hochberg, Saturday mornings at 10 on WGN. And remember, Homeside Financial is an equal housing lender. NMLS number 1124061. Well, as we record this, it's a Friday on Live from my office, and my great friend, one of my best friends ever, really, he won't admit it, but it's true. It's the great Paul Coyte, the bureau chief from London for Live from my office and all the radio shows in the past. And Paul, I just needed to check in with you. Just needed to hear your voice. How are things?
Things are okay here at the bureau. What is a bureau? When if you looked up in the dictionary, what is a bureau? Because a bureau is often isn't it a desk with lots of drawers in it? A bureau?
Yeah, well, that's
like a sideboard.
No, that's what you're in charge of. You're in charge of a piece of furniture. That's what you're in charge of.
Because I've got this large piece of furniture which arrived from Chicago about a year ago, and it's still sitting in the hall. I don't really know exactly what to do with it.
Yeah,
and I wasn't aware that is what the bureau was, because I thought it would be an office with people on typewriters banging away in the background there, just handing me pieces of paper with news on it. But that hasn't materialized. So it's
not
the
bureau
is the wooden thing that's here. Okay, that's fine. I'm running. I'm in charge of it.
Yeah, you're in charge of the furniture. You mentioned typewriters. My year and a half old grandson Isaac ran into my office the other day, and the TV was on. And he ran up to the TV, and it's a big screen thing. And he ran up to the TV, and he started poking at the screen because, he's a year and a half old, and he thought it was a touch screen. And he turned around at me and looked at me like, oh, it's broken. Now, he's going to grow up in a world, or he's growing up in a world.
That's hilarious.
He's growing up in a world where a typewriter is like something you'd see in a museum, and you turn around and ask your parents, what is that? And
my daughter, as you know, is 15 years old, and Joe, my son, is 13. I was describing a typewriter to them the other day, and try and explain a typewriter with this ribbon, and then you point it down, and then it goes on the paper, and if it goes wrong, you throw it away. And it's like, hey, what was this, 1910? It's just like...
All right, now, listen, we have some business to take care of. First off,
yes, sir.
As you know, we now have a new president in this country. President Biden. What is the reaction in the UK to the change in American presidents? I assume the UK is happy.
I have never seen so much interest in an American election, as long as I can remember. Really, probably, I reckon even I think going back to Hoover is probably the last one I remember being so exciting. And people, I remember them coming through on the tickers. And seeing those there. This is even before the typewriter was involved. And we were like all over the place. We just thought that Hoover was something to clean the floor with back in those days.
Sure,
but no.
Sure.
So anyway, but seriously, it's everybody's so interested, because I honestly do not know. And this is no word of a lie, and this is not the circles that I hang out in, because you know the circles I hang out in. I don't know anybody that doesn't look at Trump from here and just go, what the hell is it? how, pretty like you do, and would just go, how is this happening? What? How?
Right.
Who? And who would vote for him? And I honestly, I mean, we've got Nigel Farage, who of course was getting wheeled out there by Donald Trump as he's English lackey, but everybody is just so pleased about it and just think, thank goodness we can have a little bit of normality, come back to life. Everything can finally get back to normal, if there is a normal, of course.
Well, but incredible. Yeah, and that's great to hear because you are the number one ally of America. But you know what this means? You now have the crazier leader. You've got Boris Johnson. We were leading in crazy leaders by a wide margin. We made Boris Johnson look like as normal and solid prime minister as you've ever had. Now he's your nutty leader. What can we do to help?
North Korea, maybe Turkey could argue with that, but I'll take the compliment. So I appreciate it very much. But yeah, I don't know at the moment. I mean, to be honest with you, this is nothing compared to what you have to go through. And I just only recently I rewatched a great documentary which was made by the BBC over here, which I know I advise you to look at, called The Trump Show.
I watched it. It's amazing.
What did you think about it? Because that pretty much taught everybody how crazy this man actually is, and how self-obsessed and how awful he is. How on earth?
Yeah, and I would highly encourage anybody who can gain access to it. It's and usually
you live it. I mean, it's a lesson for us.
Yeah, but even though we lived it, most people in this country didn't know that stuff. I mean, I lived it, and I've known this guy since the 80s from a distance, and sometimes a little closer than that. So everything I saw in there didn't surprise me necessarily, but it's brilliantly presented, and it lays out the greatest accident in the history of politics in the world, as far as I'm concerned, because he is literally that. Donald Trump is an accident of history. All of these things had to combine in the worst possible perfect storm for that idiot to be elected. And it's amazing that we're not way worse off than we were. That attack on the Capitol was hideous, but that was the epitome of 4 stupid years. And look, people died, and we still have these idiot Republicans in our Congress who are arguing in defense of him. I mean, are you kidding me?
Well, I need to ask you a question, and that is, with what happened at the Capitol, how many people did that turn, do you think? Obviously, there's always going to be my president, wrong or right, it doesn't matter, whatever he says goes. I will not listen to any other discussion. I will not open my brain to listen to anything. I won't see the truth of what's going on. But were there many people who were maybe on the edge that saw that and thought, this is the absolute straw that's breaking the camel's back.
Yeah, well, you're right. And from the election, from the denial of the election to the January 6th Trump riot, people were moving. Look, if you believe the polls here, you believe that the mass number of Republicans, still like at 80%, back Trump and believe Trump. I don't buy that for a minute. I think as much as half of those who are on board with Trump are now off. They may not all admit it. They may still say, no, I'm a Republican. But I believe at least half of them are gone, and they're winnable for Biden. Because what Biden has said in this country is, I want to be your president, whether you voted for me or not. And that's the big bulletin, right? It's like being the prime minister. You get elected by a party. A party needs to elect you. But you're the prime minister of the United Kingdom. You're not the prime minister of the party that got you there. And here, you're not the president of the Republicans or the Democrats. You're the president of the United States. It's not that hard a concept.
I think on the other side, and what I've seen on Twitter, and also it's interesting because you get a lot of people over here that are, Biden and this, and they don't really see everything that's going on, obviously, like you would there, and are acting like, when he did this and when he said this. For me, and I'm looking at it, this is what a normal person would be doing. He's not doing anything revolutionary. This is not incredible what he's coming out with and going, oh my God, he's going to change the world. He's doing what a regular person or a decent president should be doing.
100%.
Is that fair to say? Yeah.
Yep. And I think we talked about off the air, the news here has been boring for a week, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, exactly. What are you talking about? Is the weather? I don't know if there's anything else going on there. Maybe I don't know.
But the other thing is, this means that
major world story that we could talk about.
Well, this means that over the past 4 years, where I've encouraged you to attack and take over America, War of 1812 stuff, Revolutionary War stuff, I've been encouraging you. This is the time. Please attack us and take over the country and save us. I have to ask you to call off the attack now. I don't know
what. Okay.
I don't know what stage of planning you were in. I don't know if everybody got uniforms and stuff, but we got to ask you to call that off.
Listen, let me tell you a secret. All the time that you've been saying it to me, because I thought it would come to an end. It went longer than I thought, but I didn't think it would. But I'm not going to embarrass you, but testament to you, and not just as one of my finest friends, but as a broadcaster and also a man of integrity. You never moved from your stance on this. And I know that you've had, and there's a lot of people that will that listen to this and not know, some of the crap that you've had to put up because of your stance, which have been against Trump. And I think there's a lot of people now will actually go, you know what, Steve was right all along. And you were right from day one.
Well, I appreciate that.
This is a con, this is not right. And you know what? And I hope you get the credit that you deserve for this, because you stood up to a lot of nonsense, and you could have easily just gone with the flow, just think, you know what, I'll just do what I do. I'll just toe the line, and you haven't done that, and I appreciate that.
Well,
and I think everybody should appreciate that. Although I'm very unhappy because I didn't get to look around the White House, and that's your fault. So I hold you to account for that. Apart from that, for not letting me, that's right, isn't it? I wasn't allowed in the White House because of my association to you. Is this right?
That's probably right, yes, because the Republicans in charge made sure that people knew that you were my friend, and they knew that I wasn't Trump's friend. So I apologize for that. But once we get the entire place fumigated and get the Trump stink out of it, I'll bring your whole family back over here, and we'll all go.
That sounds fun. But I do want to say that at the time, I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't even want to go. Because can you imagine if what would have happened? Let's play scenario here. And let's say that you'd come, taking me to the White House, and then out comes Mr. Orange Face there with his hair and his red tie down by his crotch, and then comes up and says, "Hey guys, what would you have said? What would you have done?" Had he appeared?
Oh, if he had appeared? Well, first off, he probably wouldn't remember me right away, but I do think he'd remember me, and I would have said, "You are the greatest embarrassment in the history of humanity. Leave now." And he is at his core a coward. He's tough on women and mean to women, and he'll get grouchy from a podium or on a microphone, or he'll pound his fists in a meeting, or he'll curse it up on a golf course. But if you stand toe to toe with him and sling it with him, he backs down immediately because he's a coward.
That's a bully. That's a bully.
That's exactly what it is. That's perfectly described. That's exactly what it is.
You know what it is? It's like Biff in Back to the Future.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
And there you go. He's just like Biff.
Well, but to be honest with you, Biff was smarter.
Actually, Biff was smarter. Yeah, fair comment. Yeah, and had better hair also.
All right, now this COVID thing, this COVID disaster. I saw a terrible number that the UK has reached 100,000 deaths. We have 100,000. We have over 400,000 here, which is just, it's hard to even comprehend. We're making our way with vaccines. I think what's going on in London, and I think around the country, you can tell me, with mass vaccination centers is brilliant. Is this ramping up as fast as it needs to in your country?
It actually is. It seems to be. It's happening pretty fast. And I think the majority of over 65s have been vaccinated now, and I know over 70s, and then it's working its way down. Obviously, being 31, it won't be until late summer. Right.
Yes.
This is the problem. Do I own up and give my real age so I get my vaccination when I should, or do they vaccinate by showbiz age? Is that a wrong thing to think about?
I think
there's a lot of famous people that are in this country right now. Lots of actors, TV hosts that are going, I could get it now, but I really don't want to admit that I'm over 70.
Yeah, well, I think there's a show business age chart where this is the age you claim you are, but you're in show business. Yeah. This is the age you actually are.
That's correct. That's it. So it's like a little scale. So when you walk into the vaccination center, you look along, and then you find age, and then it's got 65, and then you've got showbiz age, and it'll say 38, and then you just have to tick that. So it's showbiz age. So when you go in there, see, the thing is, there's parts of London, maybe in the showbizy areas, where you would walk in, and they would say, your occupation, and you would say actor, dancer, showbiz host, comedian, whatever, and then they say age, and that's when you go, showbiz age? And they go, well, of course, because they will only ask you your showbiz age.
That's
so
it.
They go by showbiz age there. So it works very well.
I think it does as well.
We're handling it.
Now, there's this thing called the UK variant, and I was in a band called UK Variant, as you know.
Yes, you were. Yeah.
But I picture the UK variant to be the best dressed and most polite of all the COVID viruses. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It actually apologizes as it attacks. That's the way it. Well, that's the way it works. I'm not taking this seriously.
All right, now in all the time that we have been in some form of quarantine, people have taken up hobbies. They've done things that maybe they did a little bit in the past, but now they've gotten into it more seriously. For instance, puzzles, very big thing. Yeah. People are doing tons of puzzles here. And, it's great you're spending time with your family and stuff, but I actually found on something we call the internet. Do you have the internet? Do you guys?
Yeah. The World Wide Web, they call it.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's it. I have a list of...
Alta Vista. I'm on Alta Vista searching right now. Yeah.
I have a list of traditional British hobbies. These are according to our friends at Google, Bob and Connie Google.
Yeah.
These are the things that you Brits love to do most. And I'm curious, even though I know you very well, have you taken up any of these? Go ahead. Have you taken up croquet?
Croquet, it's a bit cold for croquet, to be honest with you. That's where you hit the balls through the hoops. And, it's sort of Alice in Wonderland thing. Summer, really. Summer. Most people have sets in the garden. They buy them as a really good idea during the summer and then just think, this is rubbish because the grass isn't flat, and throw it away. So, not at the moment.
So not croquet. Now, you mentioned the garden. Gardening is on this list. Have you taken up gardening?
Yeah. You know what? When I turned 50, and I don't know whether this happened with you, all of a sudden, I love doing stuff in the garden. And I don't know whether it's just that I walk out there and gardening, absolutely. I would never have believed. There's two things I wouldn't have believed that I would have done. One is wear slippers, the other one is gardening. And I do both of those.
You know what? I'm with you on the slippers, not so much on the gardening. What about scrapbooking, as we call it in this country, or photo organizing? Where you take old pictures and you put them all together, you finally organize your photos. The kids don't understand what it is because their photo albums will be old phones that they glue inside a book, and then you just flip to the old phone. Do you do any of that?
I've done quite a bit of reminiscing. I was in a box the other day and just looking through some old pictures of us, and it kind of upset. Well, I say it kind of upset. It didn't. Because I still think I look exactly the same as I did 25 years ago.
No question.
And then when I look in the mirror, then I think there's something wrong with the mirror. So I think it's just a little upsetting to do the scrapbooking thing. So not really. No.
What about tracing your family roots with Ancestry.com or 23andMe or any of the otother equivalents? Have you done any of that?
Now, I have done that. Now, this is true. Now, everybody looks back, especially here, you would think, I've got royalty as someone famous that's been in the family. So I actually did this about a year ago and went through, and you can look at the old census records and find out, and so it's in London, and I'm going back and find in London, and I'm trying to look at occupations. So the occupation for my family was box maker, and I'm still not really sure of it's either box maker or labourer. And then there was one that stood out, and it stood out, and I could see it like a shining beacon, the person that we're most proud of. And I think this was a great, great, great uncle. And it actually said, and this is absolutely true, occupation, fancy box maker. And that is good. Back in the 1800s, I had my most successful relation was a fancy box maker. Now, I don't know whether it meant he was fancy and he made boxes, or the boxes he made were fancy. But that's some career.
Well, I guess the investigation will have to continue. What about model trains? Model trains is listed as a hobby. Is that really a British hobby?
Yeah. So, well, Rod Stewart is really into model trains. He's got you get the whole setup, and they put a mountain, and then you get tunnels, and then you get all the different. I mean, honestly, they really love it in the trees, and they move the people around and have the little signals. Rod loves it. I got a British Rail train set when I was about 10. And I just had it in a circle and just had a tunnel. And then, to be honest with you, Steve, I couldn't see the point. I just couldn't see the point and just thought, okay, that's it. It's over for you. Turn it on. It goes round. It's over. So, no, that's not the thing. Are they big there? Well, model train sets, do people have those there?
Yeah, listen, I'm with you. It's not something I'm wildly into. It's fun to look at and then walk away from. So, but what about collecting? Is there something that Brits love to collect that they maybe have done more of since COVID?
I don't know. Collecting. I've never really been. I've never really been a collector. You know what? I did collect mugs when I was a kid.
Okay.
And never really worked out why.
What about stamps? Is stamp collecting a big thing?
There's too many stamps, though, aren't there? I mean, what's the point?
I don't know.
When you've got so many different things, I don't understand it. I don't understand why you would do that. Have you collected anything?
No, not really. I mean,
not really.
I mean, I'm collecting. As I age, I'm collecting prescription medications. That's really my new collection.
Sure. Put them on the fridge there and keep those and the actual prescriptions themselves.
No,
I'm the same.
Yeah, it's just not so much. What about gambling?
Yeah. Gambling, try to keep away from the gambling. It's a fool's way, Steve. It's just asking for trouble. So no, not really. Every now and again, I'll have a little go. But the thing is, I'm not you have a seasoned gambler and would bet on. It's always the sure things. I will always bet on something which is like so unlikely. I think of the £1 million I could obviously win if it came in, and then I dream, and then of course the reason it is like 1,000 to 1 is because it's never going to happen. So it's because I'm a dreamer, Steve. That's why I'm a dreamer.
Oh, I totally understand. And then the last three here. Well, there's knitting, but people knit here as well. And by the way, Paul, the sweater you knitted for me is lovely. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I started it back in 1994.
Right. No, but it's really lovely. But I have the last few of these are so very British. I'd love to hear that you're involved. They are bird watching, rambling, which is basically going for a walk, I think. Bird watching, rambling, and jam making. I could see you doing all three of those.
Well, actually, when I'm out on a walk, I make bird jam. Is that bad? Is that allowed? And I know this is cheap. I know this is cheap. What I'm about to say, and I do apologise because I had the conversation with my wife just about half an hour ago. Do you have birds called great tits over there?
Oh yeah. Great. Yeah, and people don't. It's almost like there's a dog here, a dog breed here, which is popular amongst rich folks called a Shih Tzu.
Yes, of course, there is here as well.
Yeah, and much like Shih Tzu, people try not to say great tits, but those are legitimate animal varieties. Those are birds and dogs.
Well, and I swear, so we've got a little thing. I know it's cheap, and I know it's pathetic and childish, but I can't help laughing every day. So we've got one of these things where they have little balls of bird food, and and there's two of them, and you can't help but say, "Look over there," and what a pair, and great tits on the thing, and you can't. And if you're an ornithologist, you've got to say it with a straight face. And I'd like to know if true bird watchers can still snigger when they're talking about blue tits and when they're talking about great tits.
That's a great question.
First, right?
That's a great question. My email is thecochranshow@gmail.com. Send me an email. And if you send me an email as a bird watcher and tell me that you also laugh when your birdwatcher friends say great tits, I will send you an Apt gift card from Apt Electronics, pleasing people since the British Revolutionary War with us. All right, last one, and I know this isn't a thing for you because you're ultimately nothing but a professional. I understand that pub traffic, when folks are allowed to go into pubs, the pubs are just jammed. Is that true?
When are we talking now? Because there are no pubs open.
Right. No, but
when
when they are open in the periods of time, people are, I'm sure, are doing the same thing they're doing here, which is drinking heavily at home. Is that what's going on?
Yes. Yeah, and absolutely. And but the pubs, obviously, it all depends which pub you choose to go to, Steve. You could have some empty pubs. There's a lot of pubs in London which have closed, and you look at the really old-style pubs. I've taken to a few of those in the past. But people do love a pub. People love a pub. Of course they do. They love a pub.
You know what, my friend?
Part of our culture.
You have filled us in ways that we've never been educated before. And might I say that if I'm ever bird watching, making jam, or rambling, I hope it's with you, and I hope we see great tits.
So do I.
And hopefully a Shih Tzu will pass in front of us.
Well, you never know our luck. You never know our luck.
So you're the best, all the best to our London bureau chief. He's the man in charge of the furniture and the world's #1 expert on the Tottenham Hotspurs. Go Spurs. Thank you, my friend, Paul Coyte, for being on live from my office.
It's a pleasure.
If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, call David Hochberg. Call Team Hochberg. They're your trusted local lender. Over the past 20 years, David built his business helping first responders and medical professionals with their mortgages, and he wanted to do more than just say thank you. So every week this year, Team Hochberg recognizes first responders and medical pros for keeping us safe and healthy. Team Hochberg recognized Police Chief Doug Flint, Deputy Chiefs George Pappas, Kelly Derry, and 64 police officers and 12 civilian support staff at the Glendale Heights Police Department. Now, to thank them and support locally owned businesses, Team Hochberg purchased pizzas from Pronto's Pizza in Glendale Heights, owned by John Mully and Mark Segrist. First responders and medical pros deserve our respect, and local businesses need our financial support. Accomplished both by buying first responders lunch from any locally owned business in your town. If you have questions about a mortgage, do what I did. Do what my daughter, my sister, do what John DeCoste did. Do what I couldn't even tell you how many people at the radio stations did. I mean, call Team Hochberg. 855-56-DAVID. I'd do it for you if I could, but I don't live at your house. You could also go to the website, 56david.com, 855-563-2843, or 56david.com. And don't forget to tune into Home Sweet Home Chicago, hosted by David Hochberg, Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. on WGN. Homeside Financial is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 1124061. This is live from my office, and as we continue to talk about unity, and we're not any closer than we've really ever been, well, it's the right time to do this. Pick up the phone and say, hello.
Yes.
Are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning. It's the great uniter, Donald J. Trump.
He's on with us after a week of not being president again, Donald Trump. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Cochran. Hey, did you know it was exactly 1 year ago this week that I said we had the coronavirus totally under control? Happy anniversary, my friend. All right, let's make this quick. My Twitter finger's spasmodically twitching right now.
Oh, yeah, speaking of Twitter, we haven't heard from you in a while. Jeez, I can't believe that even came out of my mouth. How's everything in Florida?
Well, on a positive note, I've got to tell you, I'm doing so incredibly well since moving back here to the Sunshine State. In fact, I'm getting more sun now, so much so that my bronzer makeup almost matches my skin tone.
Wow.
Almost.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Now, I'm doing tremendous, and even my personal team of psychiatrists say that they've never seen anyone more mentally stable. So strong. They're really amazed. And that they scribbled all those very nice comments about me in their shrink notepads, believe me.
Did we hear that you established an official office of the former president, sir? No, people don't do that.
Oh, that? No, that's just the nickname for the John in my office.
Oh, okay.
You should see it. I got it a nice big gold sign. The toilet there flushes like a champ. Tremendous water pressure. Finally, out of that White House.
I'm going to take your word for it and not think about it. Now, our former First Lady, Melania, she set up her own post-White House office. I read where she wants to continue her work of her Be Best campaign.
Well, I wouldn't call it an office. I mean, that's a stretch. It's just a room with a desk, a couple chairs, and 2 assistants that she pays to take shopping with her to hold and carry all the shoes and clothes and crap she buys. Actually, they're part of her new Be Bags campaign.
Oh, so we probably just misunderstood.
Right.
Also, we saw that you've had to deal with some fighting with your neighbors there since you've been back in Palm Beach. Airplanes flying above Mar-a-Lago with those banner messages for you. One read, "Trump, you pathetic loser. Go back to Moscow." It doesn't make a lot of sense. But this one did. "Trump, the worst president ever." What are your thoughts on those?
Okay, you know what? These were incredibly nasty people that wrote this. Highly offensive people. People can be so mean sometimes. And, I mean, resorting to the name calling, I mean, can we act more like adults, huh? Can we please?
I hate to bring this up, but reports say that members of your Mar-a-Lago club are leaving in droves because they don't want to be associated with you. Is that true?
Come on, be honest. You intentionally brought that up. Why can't you for once just lob me a nice softball question right down the plate? Be like Maria Bartiromo, okay?
By the way, was she crying the other night about her Twitter followers? What was going on there? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. We're still on.
I don't blame her.
Now, about your Mar-a-Lago club members leaving, they say your club's not what it used to be. They said the service is bad and the food is bad.
Wrong. Fake news. Look, nobody's leaving, Cochran. On the contrary, the members stick around a lot more, especially out by the pool now, since I installed the Diet Coke buttons on every Cabana lounge chair.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, well, except for Don Jr.'s chair. He just gets regular Coke. See what I did there?
I did, actually.
And by the way, I don't know if you knew this, but Mar-a-Lago is a very old Spanish word that means a place for old, rich, feeble white people who have one foot in the grave. So nobody's getting out of here alive. Okay, Cochran? Believe me.
Look, your former advisor and personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani's making a little news, too. Got sued for defamation by Dominion Voting Systems. You might remember, sir. That's that voting machine company that you guys made up all the lies about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
$1.3 billion is what they're suing Rudy for. That's not a good thing. That doesn't look good.
Yeah, he's probably sweating more of that brown hair dye right about now. Poor guy. $1.3 billion. What? If Rudy's smart, he better not represent himself, or he'll end up losing about $2 billion.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
Maybe he should consider having a Four Seasons landscaping represented.
Well, and do the yard. If we could change topics, sir, what do you think of President Joe Biden's job so far?
Okay, that's a trick question, huh, Cochran? Sleepy Joe is ruining the American presidency. I mean, come on, this guy is unreal. He hasn't golfed once this week, which is very unpresidential. He's answering all these questions truthfully during the press briefings, and never once has he mentioned his election win. Not only that, he's not even live tweeting Fox News. Doesn't he know how to president? Very bad presidenting. I told you this would be a disaster.
Well, then maybe we could refer to you as the armchair president. What advice would you give to, or the backseat president? What advice would you give to President Biden?
Well, for starters, I'd tell him to take some Prevagen. That stuff for your brain. They make it with jellyfish or something.
Now, why don't you just tell him yourself?
Huh? What do you mean?
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden joins us on the line. Good morning, Mr. President.
Hey, good morning there, Jack. Yeah, I got to say this right from the start, okay? It's a dark time in America. It's dark. Nothing we can do to take away the dark, man. It's dark now, and it's going to be dark for quite some time until there it is.
There what is?
The light switch. I found it.
Okay.
Not in the dark anymore.
Okay.
I just need to get my granddaughter over here, set up that Alexa girl with the thing, the voice control, the automatic light thing.
Yes, sir. President Biden, how was your first week? Are you getting settled in?
Oh, yeah, getting a lot done, man, especially now that Kamala's in charge.
Kamala? She's the vice president.
Oh, dang it, I keep doing that. As supposed to say me. Yeah, well, that's what Kamala told me.
Sir, you're in charge. Just repeat it. You're in charge. I'm in charge. I'm saying you're in charge. You say I'm in charge.
You're in charge. No. I just repeated it. Right you are, because remember, I am the president for all the people in America, not just the ones that voted for me or against me. All of them. I'm all about unity, pal. Hell, just in my first week alone, I've already united the Republicans and the progressives against me. How about them apples?
That's not the unity you're actually looking for. And you've had to do all these executive orders. Can you tell me about a few of those?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm pretty proud of those orders so far, Jack. I got one where I halted construction of Trump's wall on the borders. because it's completely a waste of taxpayer money to build walls around Borders bookstores. They've been closed for years. They went out of business, man. Makes no damn sense.
No, you know what? It really doesn't. What about the COVID relief bill? You're talking about almost $2 trillion. Really?
Honest, Abe, they're going to be in your hands real soon, man. 1,400 big ones for every American. Now, I know some of you are saying, Joe, you old lying sack of crap, you told us 2,000. What the hell happened? Well, let me lay this down for you like a bald baby in a bassinet, pal. Folks, here's the deal. It is $2,000 when you go and add the 600 you already got to the 1,400. You greedy bastards. Give me a break, man.
Wow.
I mean, come on. Some people just don't appreciate anything. Back where I was raised in Scranton, Pennsylvania, tell you a little story. My mom and dad taught me the value of hard work. They say, Joey, never look a gift whore in the mouth.
Sir, I think you mean horse.
Now, I don't know if it's one or multiple working girls, but the point is you want to be a gentleman to all of them. You should never stare directly at their lips, even if they're attractive.
I'm pretty sure it's horse. Now to your
credit. Are you going to keep going with this interview, Joe?
Oh, shut up, man.
Now, to your credit, sir, you have the most ethically and gender diverse cabinet in the history of the presidency. Are you pleased with the picks?
Oh yeah, how about that? It's a great looking cabinet, Jack. Half of them are ladies, so it's a great smelling cabinet too.
Oh boy.
I've got black people, Latino people, gay people, a couple of leprechauns in the cabinet, I think, maybe a centaur, and a regular white guy. Except he's seen all the Tyler Perry movies, so that counts. He's a really well-rounded group, man.
And you've been going to church a lot. You're only the second Catholic president. The other was JFK.
Yeah. The only difference is when JFK went to Mass, it was at a hotel with Marilyn Monroe. The Mass in quotes.
Yeah, it's not really a Mass.
Joe's telling jokes. Joe's got lines, baby. Hey, just so you know, you're not the kind that Hunter has.
Or Hunter.
Yeah, not Hunter's line.
Okay, yeah.
No, you're going to see a lot of church going with me and Jilly. Yeah, from now on, then afterwards, we have the Secret Service. They usually pick us up in the parking lot, and we head over to the House of Pancakes for a Dutch baby, man.
Well, perfect time for me to bring in President Trump after you're talking about pancakes. Do you have anything to say to President Biden?
Frankly, I'm disappointed, Sleepy Joe. With all these church photo ops, you're such an exploiter of real people of faith like me.
Oh, come on, Donald. You expect anyone to believe that horse pucky? Go eat a bean, you rinky-dinkin' spit licker.
Seen any good memes lately, Joe? No, because you're computer illiterate, that's why. Just imagine if you and Bernie had a clue and knew how to go on the internet and see any of these. You'd love them.
Hey, come on, man. It's no fair. Bernie's not here to defend himself either. Yes, I am, Joe.
Oh, wow.
How's the afterlife? Hello, Cochran.
It's Bernie.
Hello, Steve.
It's Bernie Sanders. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's the afterlife, Donald? You diaper-sniffing tractor face.
Wow.
Hey, well, what do you know, Joe? Bernie's got jokes too, man.
Senator Sanders, how'd you get this number?
Well, hey, Steve, I might be old, and I might live in Vermont. I have a hell of a time doing puzzles with these mittens on. But I can Google live from my office with Steve Cochran and figure out a phone number, okay?
All right.
And by the way, Donald, yes, to answer your question, I have seen some good memes lately. One of which has me sitting in a strip club getting a lap dance and having a very hard time handing the girl a $10 bill. Not because of the mittens, but because I'm extremely frugal.
Oh, yeah, breaking news, Cochran. Bernie's a cheapskate.
He's not cheap. He's from Vermont. Former President Trump, how would you rate President Biden's overall performance so far?
Yeah, enlighten us, Jack.
Sleepy Joe, you're ruining everything I built, okay? You are a disaster.
Look,
hey.
Let's just reel this back in. I mean, one more question for President Biden. You got the dogs now. You got Champ and Major living at the White House. You've had really an amazing first week. There is some unity in this country. It's not anything close to what we really need in the big picture, but it's got to feel good. Do you feel good so far, sir?
Oh, I feel great, man. It's great to have my two good boys right here with us. They're members of the family, just like my kids, and a lot of times they're better behaved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's been plenty of nights where I walked in and saw my son Hunter drinking out of the toilet bowl and trying to bend over backwards and lick his own rear end.
I can only imagine.
Thanks for calling in, President Biden. I appreciate it.
Hey, stay safe, Salvatore. Remember, be like a Mandalorian. Mask up, baby.
And President Trump, goodbye to you as well.
Later, loser.
Senator,
Can I hang up now?
Yes,
Can I hang up now?
Yes, Senator Sanders, you can. And take off one mitten. You're making me hot.
Well, if I start a fire, maybe I'll take one off.
Let me just make a quick note here. I have got to change that number, for a number of reasons. All right, look, we got to go. Thanks to Ross Cochran for putting together, producing, editing, engineering, and get it done. Live from my office doesn't happen without Ross Cochran. And thank you for listening. Thanks to the great Paul Coyte. You can follow him on social media at Coyte, Coytey. Oh, I forgot to mention. Every time we do another new episode of Live from My Office, I always like to have a charity to talk about, and I'd like to talk about yours. Do you work for a nonprofit? Do you have someone in your family that works for a nonprofit and you think they deserve a little free pub? I'm your man. Drop me a note at thecochranshow@gmail.com. All I really need, you can give me all the detail you want, but all I really need is what the charity is and their website, and I will follow up from there, okay? That way we can spread the word on these good organizations changing the world and help them help us. Again, drop me a note with the charity's website and name. You want to give me a little detail? Great. Maybe a lot of detail or just why they're important to you. Do that at thecochranshow@gmail.com. Got to go, but I will see you soon because every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we drop new episodes of Live from My Office.
30 years plus on the airwaves, you have turned your dial to me. Now you're tuned into my podcast. It's Live from My Office, Steve. From Ithaca, New York, to Carolina South, W. Cochran Steve. From Minneapolis and then Chicago twice, top-rated shows achieved. Sit back, relax, and now listen to my show. When or wherever you are, 'cause you're on the go. A-list celebs with some laughs and great info. Live from my office, the Steve Cochran Podcast Show. Yeah. No better place to be. Yeah. Subscribe and like for free. Yeah. Live from my office, Steve. So glad you're with me. It's Live from my office, Steve.
Thank you for listening to Live from My Office, a service of Monkey Run Productions. All rights reserved. The podcast is hosted by Steve Cochran, and it's mixed, edited, and produced by me, Ross Cochran. Support the show by subscribing wherever you're listening and by telling your friends about it. Follow Steve on all social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and make sure you check out this episode's show notes for relevant information discussed during the conversations. You can also email the show directly at thecochranshow@gmail.com with any questions or comments, and that's the best place to tell us about your favorite nonprofit so we can make sure we mention them on the next episode. Steve is available for corporate speaking gigs. He would love to MC your event, and occasionally, he's funny. Thank you for listening. Head to cochranshow.com for more.